Hi, hey, hello, and what a happy day. How are you? I am Kirsten. This is Tristan, and we are Haseya. We are so happy to have you here.
We are so happy to have you here and be together. We love this conversation and we're going to get into it a little bit today. Well, just like every week, we love that though. You never really know how deep and where we're going. It's awesome.
Sometimes we don't even know, right? We set out with an intention, and we just it just goes someplace.
Oh yeah, sometimes we've talked about this multiple times. I tell Kirsten that, when we hand ourselves over, and allow, spirit to move through us and talk through us, like when we do events and, I'm leading meditation or we're leading and teaching and just letting it flow. And then in here and in session, it's like, gosh, sometimes God just surprises the heck out of me with what comes through my mouth. It's like, wow, that was profound. It's fun. You just never know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, which I'm really glad that we're even talking about that, of course, because today is all about the foundation of what Haseya is, which is that, right? Us being an open vessel, an open space that spirit gets to move through us, that we get to have these ebbs and flows in our business, in ourselves, in our homes to continue to support that alignment and that core essence of who we are as individuals, who we are as a company, and the vision that we're holding for the collective.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this because Say has been such a passion project for both of us. We were so inspired by putting these links of things together and being able to actually provide them on a platform and in a community because the reason Haseya came to be is because of how we both found the easiest way or the truest way, the deepest way, the most efficient way for us to heal. And what were the parts that were a part of that? And it was that psychology, it was that spiritual psychology, the subconscious reprogramming, the nervous system regulation, the community. Honestly, it would have been a really, really, really big undertaking if we wouldn't have had the support that we had and the friends that we had that were all doing it together, that we were able to just create such tight bonds and have somebody praying with us and hands on our backs, just like holding us to keep us moving forward through the work that can be, intense. It can be a lot. And more of that unknown of what's on the other side of the healing beyond what we've only known our whole lives or for the last 10 years or whatnot is just having somebody love you through it and creating these bonds as you guys are doing it together and as we were doing it together. It's just it's gold.
Yes, so if you're not already, start taking advantage of this community. Connect people, allow yourself to be seen and just say, hey, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm after. And I guarantee you somebody else is moving through that experience. You're not here watching this video by coincidence. You're not in this space by coincidence. You have an innate calling, an internal knocking on your heart that is leading you to this space. So just lean into that.
Yes, pour into it and you get back what you put in, right? When you open yourself up in a space that's so safe, um, you have to use that opportunity to overcome those considerations you have, out in the world. Um, because if you don't move through that stuff and allow yourself to be loved and allow yourself to heal and find the right people, you just keep yourself closed off and keep yourself in those old identities of not having, the community that you wish to have.
Absolutely. And with us talking about Haseya today and what that's all about, Tristan and I have gone through our own layers of that. really allowing ourselves to be fully seen by each other, being completely open and transparent about, anything that was going on internally within our homes, as a wife, as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, all of the dynamics in which we all move through. We've always been transparent with you guys that we're not immune to any of those experiences. And so, with that and our integrity and our alignment with this business, we've had to be radically honest and get radically clear and make shifts, and movements in our business. And we want to talk to you guys about that today and see, and in reflection, and two, where you can start to make shifts, that are in alignment with your life.
Yeah, absolutely. There's such a flow, and there's a vulnerability in creating something that's so transparent and that does work like this. But to be in this with a partner, it's no thing to do this. It is a thing, but it's totally different when you're doing this on your own and you are making appointments or not making appointments or making appointments and not making appointments and just doing these things on your own. And then when you take this big passion project with somebody else, and we went really hard at first. We went really hard. We were very excited. We were very excited about our friendship and the things that we both loved to do. And it was amazing. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I was just looking through pictures of events and retreats that we've had. And oh my gosh, we need to blast those. They're so beautiful. But also, we got a little out of balance with who it is that we are committed to being, the lives that we have committed to creating, and that Haseya is supposed to flow and be this beautiful um, experience and supportive, you know, um, thing. Sorry, not the word that I was looking for. And it ended up, we were pouring so, because we were so excited and so passionate, and we know what it is. We know what's here, and we know what it'll be. And we were making it happen, right? We were just going. And, I had to be super vulnerable with Kirsten. We have two different lifestyles so far. And I have a lot that I've really committed to being very present for. And I had to sit down and say, I love what we're doing. I love what we're creating. And I can't keep going like this. Um, and knowing that I was putting that in like a safe place that, and no attachments to how she was going to react to it, and say, I've committed to be a mom. I've committed to privately schooling at home. I've committed to this farm. I've committed to supporting my family in this way. And I believe that Hesea is that supporting of my family, and I can't get out of balance, right? I need to rein that in a little bit, and we need to work differently.
Yeah, so beautiful. And what I want you guys to see, hearing and feeling into what she's saying. Like, can you imagine you start out to do like your passion, like your dream, this continuation of what you've already committed, that that this is like, this sets my soul on fire. And now I have to communicate to, one of my closest friends that, hey, I need to like take it back. And it's not that I need to stop doing this, but this has to look differently for me. There was such a beautiful invitation that happened there in her choice to be vulnerable and to say that, like she said, into a safe space, because she could have suffered in silence. She could have sat there and just continued to just basically drown in the over workload, right? And be like, this is not working, something's not incongruent, or something is incongruent, or being able to be vulnerable and to say those things. And then what happened was we changed the way in which that we worked. We created a schedule in which supported all of the things in which she had already made commitments to long before we said, hey, let's do this beautiful thing together. And then business started to feel a lot differently. Now, do we go through our own other waves of stuff? Absolutely. But that was a huge shift for us.
Yeah, it was. And we navigate that way, about everything. And we've said multiple times, we don't know how people do this without have done the work that we've done to where we can be super solid in who we are and create, bonds that are safe and are conscious and can stay present in like these conversations, because we have these conversations a lot, just about anything that is like, hey, that doesn't feel right, or hey, I'm in practice this morning, I got to hit like this is really coming through. What do you think? And like, just we are so radically honest and present within our households and this company and with each other as very dear friends and coworkers here. So it's a beautiful thing that we've created and that we're continuing to create, and we're creating in such a different way. Um, you can still, even when you know better, and still be you're aware and you're doing the work, you can still shift. You can still shift and flow and move, and things are like, oh, that doesn't feel good anymore. That's okay. You're not going to reach a spot and then everything's just gonna, stay super linear. That's just, and it's not typically how it works.
I mean, would you to though? We used to have these debates all in school, whether it was around suffering or having this plateau of emotions. You're no longer in that experience of highs and lows, but as beings of continually desiring to grow, I don't want it to be linear ever.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean that you continue to have to learn lessons hard, that you're down luck and you feel like you don't have a sense of self, or everything is in a state of crisis. You do get to this space where you are centered and grounded, and these inquiries don't feel like these gigantic identity shifts. They're just like these micro adjustments to
yeah.
continually keeping you, pointed to your North Star, or what it is that you're most committed to if you're paying attention. And it wasn't that we were ever paying attention, but again, like she said, we were so excited. We were so excited to finally be in service in this way, to fully bring you guys everything that we desired when we were moving through this work, that everything else, started to fall away. And, I'll, be vulnerable in my experience. There was a huge shift in energy in my house when I no longer, was my sole focus was my husband and I's relationship, because that was my main focus. Was I wanted to, cut off generational experiences and outpicturings of connection with wife and husband. Because I had never been in the experience of witnessing a relationship of that in which I desired. And so we had been working on that for a while. And I start this, business and in this capacity and in this way. And there was a huge shift of energy. And what do you think happened? Jobs started to come up. Oh my gosh, they started to come up. And
Yeah.
new layers and new things. And it was hard sometimes. It was really hard. And I literally do not know how I would have been able to do this experience without having had a practitioner like Tristan herself to hold me in that. And that's not an experience of codependency, it's an experience of reality. When you're moving through the depths of things and the speed in which that we were, um, you need reflection. You need to be held, because if all you have is that internal voice, that's not something grandiose or greater than yourself, but your mini mind, um, you find yourself staying in that habitual circle and those patterns.
Yeah, I sat with this just over the weekend, and really just reflected on the journey. Not the journey of my whole, my whole professional service here, in the last however many years, just this last 2 years of this corporation. And what was revealed to me and remembered in me is when we claim something so big, when we claim something that is so powerful, what has to get out of the way? And we were both very solid because we wouldn't have started something like this if we weren't solid. And what was revealed is oh, you want that level. You want that level. You want to be able to hold that level. All right. Like these are the things also that are very, very deep in there that need to be moved through that wall of fire of sense. And we chose to surrender and go through them. Okay, absolutely. Like there was no, oh my gosh, why is all this coming up now? It was a invitation of, oh, all right, all right. Like, and we both had that experience where our focus went here and into creating, and then, those some of those other deep things within relationships and within the self were like, okay, we need to be dealt with too. And it was like, oh, okay, like, okay, all right, yes, 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 yes. And so we've been through this beautiful journey of not only holding, my gosh, Kirsten, the women and the things that have been held over the last 2 years. And it brings tears to my eyes to just see their faces, see their journeys, where they were, where they, finished up working with us at, and just their words of what they got out of it and the events and oh my gosh, it has been the most beautiful 2 years and the most beautiful 2 years within us because of what it has allowed us to move through and to move beyond and up level in the sense of peace even more, even more, because that's what we have to do. You have to become the embodiment of that dream you hold. You have to become that embodiment. It doesn't just happen. There's work to be done within the self to be able to be at that vibration of that. And sometimes it takes going through the things. And that's when I think a lot of people quit. I think a lot of people quit because it gets really hard, because it's like going good and things, but there's all this stuff going on. And it's like, oh, well, maybe this isn't meant to be. Maybe this isn't meant to be because there's too much going on right now. There's too much going on here and here, and I just don't have time and the things. And no, if it's truly, truly aligned, and you have to sort that out within your own practice. If it's truly aligned, you're being called to move through all the things that don't serve this level that you're this dream that you're, committed to.
My gosh, beyond our wildest dreams. Like, and we say that in a sense of, oh, we've, made it. Um, that we're our books are filled, we never look at our bank accounts. Everything is just figured out, all the things, but quite literally would never have imagined what this would be like being in this role, in this experience, and seeing the shifts and the ebbs and flows and the individuals and what this work has done for them. Like I would go through all of this like 1,000 times over just to be in this space, just to answer this call. And so with that, we just want to reflect and turn that back onto you, whether you're a coach yourself, a practitioner, if you're a mom, a sister, a brother, a father, where in your life have you maybe experienced something like this where you did set out to do something or to, to change something? And it doesn't have to be in a career. You just decided, alcohol no longer serves me. I don't want to do this anymore. And then you found yourself back into, casual drinking. Or maybe it's really wanted to be committed, with, being healthy in my home, whatever that means for you. I'm not going to outline that. And then a month or so or something goes by and then we're no longer doing that thing anymore. Um, so many infinite examples that are going through my mind. We don't need all of those.
Infinite. There's entrepreneurship, there's personal journeys and health and food and exercise and there's coaching and practitioners. It's these desires and dreams, right? The desire and dream that has felt like you've committed and then there's been all this flooding emotion and like, who do you think you are? And, can I really hold that? And can I actually do this? And then you have, if you haven't, those are big commands right there. But if you haven't even dealt with some other things, there's so much sabotage, you guys. There's so many commands that are keeping you small, that are keeping you out of that relationship you're having a dream of, or the dream, or the business, whatever, because we're scared, because we listen to these voices inside of our heads telling us that we're not who we are. You gotta know who you are, right?
Yeah. So,
You
I mean, did you give up? I mean, did you go back, to old ways? Are you still in the thick of it? Are you still in that questioning mindset of like, is this for me? Can I do this? The invitation today is just to lean into that. When Tristan said earlier that that's for you to discover in your practice, it is. Sit in silence, expand your time within the one mind, and ask yourself, like, what is for me? What do I truly desire? And maybe this is your journey in which you let that thing go. You've been trying to force yourself in the box that no longer fits you anymore. This mold or this expectation of what you thought you should do or what the next step is for your up leveling or expansion. Or maybe it's time to allow yourself to open up to that support, to know that you've got this. Like this season, it may be a little rough right now. Tristan had some crazy lightning and thundering, maybe there's a lot of rumbling happening in the skies. And that's okay. If you don't have that support system, reach out to us. If being in the void of the community is too much, send us a message, send us an email. Let us know how we can pray for you. Let us know how we can hold you. Is so, so, so important. And then continue to show up, continue to do the thing, because I promise you, there will be that lull. There will be that breath like of fresh air where you're just like, okay, your means of confirmation, your means of being hugged or being held.
that, oh my God, I'm okay. I'm okay. Don't quit. Don't quit. Um, the rewards on the other side of that not quitting are exponential and they're there for you. Um, your will is God's will. God's will is your will in a sense of you are the activity of God. You are the expression. Um, all of that power, all of that everything is moving through you as you, all around you. It's not quitting and doing some serious intro work, intro reflection, sitting in silence, being in mind treatments and prayer to recognize what's coming up as lies and allowing the things to come up and move, not to be shoved down, not to just be like, nope, but to actually move through them, recognize them, and let them go and see beyond them this truth of who you are, which is what I just said. And so don't quit, because what you have to offer the world is unbelievable, and only you can do it because there's no one else like you. And that's our message today. That's our message today, because there's so many times, we very honestly would sit and practice and, need some strength and need some peace and need some encouragement. And it's always there. Always.
So beautiful, sister. So beautifully said, but nothing else to say. We
Uh,
love you guys so much.
we do.